specialty is entrepreneurship, and he is going to, in the next 10 minutes, help us to get a better understanding of what it really means and how that can empower us to make more money as school owners and teachers. And of course, do the right thing when we are working with children to give them that entrepreneurial mindset. So ladies and gentlemen, join me to welcome to the stage Dr. Gbenga Akintola from Olabisi Onabanjo University.
Thanks so much, sir. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Gbenga Akintola. I've been listening to speakers that have made presentation, and there's this recurring statement about our educational system in Nigeria, and that is functional education. Education that should solve problems, education that will make students to be solution providers. I was amazed seeing those kids doing something very creative, yeah. And that takes us to this presentation I'm making. Indeed, let's ask ourselves as school providers, as educational leaders, as teachers, are we actually developing pupils who are solution providers? And that takes us to the presentation. Mainstreaming intellectual entrepreneurship into the Nigerian curriculum. Entrepreneurship was inculcated into the Nigerian curriculum across the board, from primary, secondary, university, polytechnic, and what have you. We have it in our curriculum. Someone mentioned the other time that even in our curriculum, if you don't pass this subject, definitely you can't graduate. Even in a university, if you don't pass their general courses, if you don't pass them, you won't graduate. In WAEC, if you don't register them, they won't allow you to write WAEC. But the question is, are we actually teaching entrepreneurship for creating solution? And that's where we are now. That is what we have found ourselves in. And that is the problem. We should be used with this. We are familiar with this. This is what we do in our schools when it comes to entrepreneurship. Basically, during the long vac, summer school, entrepreneurship, and we'll go into cake making, we'll go into bead making, and we'll call this entrepreneurship. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying this is not part of entrepreneurship, but this is not the totality of entrepreneurship. This is vocational education. We overemphasize this, and we'll call this entrepreneurship. For the avoidance of doubt, entrepreneurship is not vocational education. Entrepreneurship is not technical education. Entrepreneurship is not skill acquisition. Entrepreneurship is everything put together and much more. Then, what is entrepreneurship? Entrepreneurship is about value creation. Entrepreneurship is about value creation. People, nations, societies, they have problems. And it's only value that solves problems. Bolaji spoke about some environments where people shouldn't go to because of the hazard. So robotics comes handy to provide solution to such problem. And that is the place of entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is about value creation, creating value that solves societal problem, that solves human problem. Then this entrepreneurship really, when it comes to the value creation actually comes from ideation. And ideation is in the realm of the intellect. So it is not, you don't say, you don't limit me to just anybody because I don't produce physical products. If I don't make beads, if I don't make cake, then to an average Nigerian, I'm not an entrepreneur. But really, entrepreneurship comes from ideation. And ideation is in the realm of the intellect. And that takes us to intellectual entrepreneurship, which is our business as educators. Intellectual entrepreneurship. How do we mainstream it into the Nigerian curriculum that we are running in our school, and we call it entrepreneurship? How do we mainstream intellectual entrepreneurship into our school curriculum? Intellectual entrepreneurship is about innovative disruption. When you cause disruption in the marketplace, it's from the realm of the intellect. It comes from an idea. Then, when you have innovative entrepreneurship, definitely you can be sure of providing solution to the problem of the society. And this is where we are going. As educational leaders, it is important that we capitalize knowledge. Here we don't value knowledge if it has not actually metamorphosed into physical products. Knowledge is actually a capital, and that is the realm we should get to. We capitalize knowledge. We ensure that knowledge is handy. We see knowledge as an entrepreneurial asset. I don't have to create a physical product. I should be able to benefit from the knowledge base that I have, which is actually an intellectual product. It doesn't have to be physical. Then, by capitalizing knowledge, that takes us to our ability to mainstream intellectual entrepreneurship into our school curriculum. As education leaders, how do we do that? There is need for us to have a program in our schools where we can incubate ideas from these young ones. We all listen to them in the morning while we're talking. That some of them, they have understanding, they have little, they could contribute to the lesson, but we don't listen to them. Do we call them and ask them about the idea and mainstream that idea into the lesson? That is intellectual entrepreneurship, because it's towards value creation. It's towards solving a problem. Some of them, they have the idea to solve their problem themselves without imposing vocational skills into them in the name of entrepreneurship. So in our schools, what do? We must provide a platform for incubating ideas that could create values. In most institutions of higher learning, they have entrepreneurship centers, but these entrepreneurship centers don't have incubation units. What do they do in those entrepreneurship centers? They will ask students to go into vocational skill acquisition, bead making, footwear making, palm sandal making, and what they do is that they will go to artisan in the public, in the society. They will buy those things and bring it to the school and submit as if it was their assignment because of the grade, and they will get the grade. Have they actually learned anything? No, because that student will have felt, after spending 4 years in school, in the university, you still want me to end up in bead making? You still want me to end up in footwear making? I'm not interested in this. I'm interested in solving other things that are not handy, other things that are not practical, that are not visible, as it were. I want to solve problem. We mainstream it into it. As I close, intellectual entrepreneurship, when we are now implementing our entrepreneurship curriculum in our school, the implementation must be broad, the implementation must be dynamic, the implementation must be inclusive, because not all of these students actually want to involve in this vocational skill acquisition. Some of them, they are interested in soft skills that are not within the realm of vocational skills. So what do? We mainstream that into the curriculum when we are implementing the entrepreneurship curriculum in our school. I close with this. As teachers, And as educational leaders, we have the chance to make that change. We have the chance in our schools, we have the chance in our classroom by incubating ideas from the realm of the intellect in order to create value and solve societal problems. Thank you for listening.
I've had a long association with him. He's a very enterprising young man. And he, no wonder you showed interest in entrepreneurship, and that's an area you have pursued, because your life is proof that where there is a will, there will always be a way. I know that, to the best of my knowledge, beyond probably secondary school, your parents were not instrumental to any education you have received, true or false, in terms of funding it. So from national diploma, you moved to the university to get a first degree, you did your master's, you have done your PhD. Some young people who are not, who don't have the entrepreneurial mindset, will just give up and say, my parents don't have money. I come from a poor background, and so there's nothing I can do about it. But we know that resilience is very important in life. And we are going to hear from another fantastic Nigerian in Canada who will be discussing how he has been able to also overcome enormous challenges over the years. So, Dr. Mwenga, thank you very much for giving us that contribution. But before you leave, are you saying in effect that these things we do about, we call it summer school, and we are gathering people who make cake to come and teach children how to make cake, that's not necessarily what entrepreneurship is about? Is that the point you're making?
Yes, sir. Entrepreneurship is broader than skill acquisition. And when we are talking about skill, there are physical skills, there are social skills, there are intellectual skills. But we will emphasize the technical skill. Beyond the technical skill, there are other skills that could make the technical skill to be acceptable in the society and relevant in the society beyond the technical skill. Somebody knows how to make cake, but doesn't have the intellectual capacity to communicate that skill to the society. Then it becomes a problem. And
that certainly even applies to school owners from every available evidence. Many of the people here are doing awesome jobs, training children in amazing ways. But unfortunately, even some people in their immediate communities are not aware of what they are doing. So entrepreneurship, if it's emphasized and people go to acquire the right skills and the right mindset, we make it easy for people to benefit maximally from what they are doing. Is that the point you're trying to make?
Exactly, sir. Even some of the schools, most first-class institutions abroad, they leverage on entrepreneurship. Schools now, they complain about funding, but you can actually be an entrepreneur at school without expecting money from government or from sponsorship. Most of these schools, most of these universities, they are entrepreneurial universities. They generate ideas that solve societal problems, and government pay them for it. Those ideas becomes their intellectual property, and government pay for it. Within your area, within your schools, there are problems that you could have provide solutions to. So, which means you can actually benefit from your entrepreneurial ideas without actually making it a physical product. Now, most schools, they go into bread making, they go into bottled water making, but Alphard will not go into bread making. Alphard will not go into bottled water making, but they are getting a lot of money from government because of their intellectual entrepreneurship they have gone into. So, we as educational institutions, we should look more into intellectual entrepreneurship than physical entrepreneurship that everybody is doing.
Thank you very much. Let's put our hands together for him. I think that point is well made. And now that you are talking about what is happening abroad in the US, most of the examples you have taken are coming definitely from the US. We have to, at this point in time, get to that environment and see if you have made a right claim.